it could be easy to imagine all the roadblocks and all the work between where we sit and this question. But I want to invite you to consider and counter that doubt with a different scenario. I want us to think about, what if we're successful? What if our ideas for here in Iowa not only change our experience, but serve to inform others across the US? And there's another important line in the narrative of the plan. It goes like this: supporting farms to grow a diversity of foods in Iowa is a strategic investment for the state and the nation, ensuring we have nutritious food to eat, strengthening economic opportunity, and connecting urban and rural communities while insulating us from future supply chain shocks. If we want to be able to move forward and build out our bold vision, we have to approach our work with those questions. What if we actually get it right? It's been my honor and privilege to have been on this journey with so many of you over so many years, especially these past couple of years with the coalition's work. I am super pleased to join the Iowa Food System Coalition Steering Committee, and a shout out to our great selection committee. And we are here today to welcome Chris Schwartz as the new Iowa Food System Coalition Executive Director. And over the past month, Chris has been getting acquainted with the people and the work of the coalition. There are a lot of details to figure out, but today really serves as our official handoff. So my ask of everybody on the call is that you pick up your keyboard sometime today, tomorrow, Iowa Food System Coalition at gmail.com. Introduce yourself to Chris. Tell him what it is that's got you on fire about your work, how you see that connects to the coalition's work, to the vision of the food system plan, and how you are or want to be involved. Doesn't have to be super long. Chris has a lot of details to navigate, but if we can all take some time to introduce ourselves to him, that might be one way to help him kind of get connected at another level with the folks in the work. So that's my ask of all of you. And as a symbolic passing of the torch, all right, so I have this, we have lots of rhubarb on our farm. I'm going to pass this to Chris. Now, mind you, I have to have a little bit of wind up because I'm in north central Iowa, a couple of hours from Chris, so it might take just a minute to get to him. I'm shouting this from beautiful East Twin Lake, and it's going to you, Chris. Are you ready to catch it?
I'm ready.
Coming over to Waterloo. Here it comes.
Amazing. Thank you, Jan, for that introduction, and thank you for all of your grace, your wisdom, and your patience as I've been finding my footing in this work this last month. It's truly been an honor to spend so much time with you. And you may notice that maybe my rhubarb is a little bit greener than Jan's. It's got more growth to doing, but it has strong roots. And it's just going to get better and better. And I'm just so grateful for this opportunity. A little bit, about myself. I don't want to take up too much time, but I grew up in Dubuque, Iowa, where we were a family that went to the farmers market every weekend. Incidentally, it's the oldest farmers market in the state of Iowa, founded in the 1840s, and has been in its current location since 1858. And interestingly enough, when the city hall was built, the farmers market was actually indoors in the city hall building. And so it's wild to think of this kind of food hub that existed in Dubuque in the 1850s. And so in many ways, a lot of the work that we're doing, sometimes it's very innovative and very new. Sometimes it's going back to what our ancestors did. I came to I live here in Waterloo. I came to the Cedar Valley to study at UNI back in 1998, where I studied both music and political science, electric and upright bass are my main instruments, and I studied both jazz and classical, but continue to play today. I've got a rock band called the Harmony Electric that you'll see me in. Where I also play the theremin. So if you've never met somebody that plays the theremin, now you know somebody that plays the theremin. But I've been a lifelong social justice activist, and I got that start in Dubuque as well. And I was kind of reminded of that. It was a story that was on public radio this week. Um, some of you might know the history that in the early 90s, Dubuque was plagued by a series of cross burnings. And one of them happened in my neighborhood. And I was lucky to have a social justice minded teacher, Sister Mary Lee Cox, who was a Franciscan nun and activist, who organized a peace vigil at the site of this cross burning. My mother took us, all four of us, down to it. And then from there on, that's when this kind of social justice spark lit in me at the age of 11. And my mom had us stuffing envelopes for the NAACP, and I haven't stopped since then. Um, for the last 18 years, I've been a community organizer and national organizer for Americans for Democratic Action, which is the nation's oldest progressive advocacy organization. And I'm also serving in my second term, running for a third term as a Black Hawk County supervisor, where I've really focused on climate change, on watershed management, water quality, conservation efforts, and labor rights within the county. So I'm just, super excited, really for this opportunity. Some of my I made a deliberate choice at a young age to try to live life as a modern day Renaissance man. And so I'm somebody that's got a wide varying variety of interests and hobbies. I'm an avid gardener. Sometimes my gardens are featured on tours here in the Cedar Valley. Really big into historic preservation and hosting parties. And I actually hope to host something for the whole coalition here later this summer. Just a celebration of all the work that's been accomplished so far. And so, I really I bring the spirit of social justice and of equity to this work. And one of the things that really motivates me in this work is that in December of 2021, I lost my beautiful husband Logan to suicide. And one of the things that he had brought up in the last week of his life was the trauma that stayed with him from the food insecurity that he faced as a child, and having to he and his siblings at a young age having to go out on their own and walk to grandma and grandpa's house to find food on a regular basis. And so knowing the damage that did within him and how that stayed with him his whole life really motivates me to do this food justice work. And that's what I see this as, is that food is justice. And access to food is justice, and how it's created and how the workers are treated. This is all what brings me into this work. And so I'm just really grateful for this opportunity. I look forward to growing and expanding upon the amazing work that's already been done. It's truly remarkable. I've been really humbled this last month meeting so many of you and learning from the wide variety of expertise that is in this coalition, and the huge amount of talent and dedication. And so my hat's off to you, and it's a really great privilege to be working with all of you. You also see me, I'm also doing some work for the Northeast Iowa Food Bank and Riverbend Food Bank. So if you see my name showing up and doing some advocacy, grassroots organizing for them around food insecurity issues. So if you see my name come up in those ways, it is the same Chris Schwartz. So as I said, I've always been a person of many hats and many interests, and just really, really excited to be here with you all today. So I think we're ready for the next slide. All right. So as you already know, I was hired. I started April 1st. Just dumping head in, and I'm very excited for the federal grant season to be over soon. I like writing private foundation grants a lot more. There's a lot less hoops to jump through, but it's been a great learning process. We have the Iowa Food Systems Coalition will be moving on to different social media platforms. The first one that we've got established is on Facebook, and we haven't been sharing a whole lot there so far. but we want to get all of you liking this so that we can build out that platform. Other platforms you'll see coming soon will be Instagram for sure, maybe TikTok and others, but excited to build out social media so we've got that presence, an additional way of reaching folks. I also want to drop a line in here to remind folks that the formative evaluations are due by June or by May 15th. You've got a number of email reminders about it. I'm going to drop that link here in the chat. And this is an important step for you just to give feedback on how the coalition is kind of living up to the principles that we've set out and committed to, and just how you believe that we're functioning. So we really value your input. Oh, I just shared the wrong link. Don't click on that. That one's for later in the meeting. All right. Here we go. All right, here's the link for the formative evaluations that Arlene has prepared for us. And so I want to give, it was really exciting to be at the Harkin Institute, the Harkin on Wellness Summit. That was really one of my first days on the job there, and just really exciting to meet a lot of coalition members there, and also to see the great work the coalition members are doing. It was a really, really fascinating conversation, especially around the issues of mindfulness and how nutrition relate to schools' performance. So really exciting stuff. Also, we did have a presence at the Eat Iowa event. We had a really great booth that Jody organized. They had an interactive activity where folks writ on paper plates what local food means to them. And incidentally, my band also was performing at that event. So it was just kind of exciting day all around. Also a big a shout out to everybody that was just recently involved in the Youth Institute, where we also had a presence. It looks like some really exciting and really wonderful photos came out of that. It was a really great opportunity for the coalition to make connections to the next generation of leaders and thought makers here in Iowa. The food systems plan, setting the table for all Iowans, is on track to be completed in late May or early June. So I'm very excited for that. I was actually, interesting story. When I was interviewing for this job, I was scrambling to try and find the plan. So I'm like, I need to read this whole plan before I do this interview. And so I was relieved that it wasn't done yet, and I didn't have to sort through all that quite yet. But it's really exciting, and just seeing that the thoughtfulness that has gone into the development of this plan, I think it's really, really going to serve us well going in and charting this territory here in Iowa. So really appreciative to all the work that's being done, and especially to Jan, who's really putting in so much effort to get that across the finish line. We've got a couple events coming up, and you'll hear a little bit more later on about the Community Food Systems and Farm to School and Early Care Conference in June. But IFC, Iowa Food Systems Coalition, is helping to sponsor the kind of opening event, which is the Squatters on Red Earth. It's a one-person play. Really, it's going to be really, really great, because I always love the intersection of the arts and activism and social change. So it's really great that we're going to have that presence. There's also multiple coalition members who will be presenting breakouts, and you'll hear a little bit more on that later on. Found out this week that the Iowa Food Systems Coalition was selected to present a breakout session, as well as have an exhibition table at the Iowa Hunger Summit, which is July 1st in Des Moines. So really great to have the opportunity to have the platform to present setting the tables for all Iowans, with a special emphasis on our nutrition and hunger section. And so it's really excited. I'll be joined by Jill Ling on that panel, as well as Lindy Buckingham Shute. So it's really exciting that we were selected and just have that opportunity to present ourselves on a pretty large platform. I did already drop the reminder for the formative evaluation. Again, those are due by May 15th, and we really value your input on that. So please find some time to complete that before the 15th, so that it can help inform the coalition going forward. And just remind that all this work is being done with an intentional culture and celebration and commitment to equity and care for one another. This is really big work. This is really big stuff that we're taking on. But it's possible because of the quality of the people that are involved, and it's just really exciting to be working with so many talented and unique Iowans. So I think we're ready for the next slide. So again, you see, I'm going to drop the link one more time for the formative evaluation, just to push that. This is formative evaluation. I want to thank everybody that has already taken the survey. Remind you to do that, please, by the 15th. We will then, we will share the outcomes of the evaluation, and each priority team is also working on their evaluation indicators. Next slide, please. So the RS.
Yeah, I think, Chris, not to interrupt you too much,
Yes.
but I think this is Arlene's slide.
Oh,
and
perfect.
Possibly, yes, and possibly the last one she might talk about evaluation.
All right, that makes more sense.
So,
Let's move.
yes,
All right, I'll turn it over to Arlene.
You're off the hook now. Thank you. Thank
Excellent,
you for
thank you.
sharing that update. And Jan, thank you so much for starting that off and introducing Chris. And Chris, again, welcome. And it's great to have you as part of the coalition and as part of this meeting. So, all right, Arlene, are you going to talk a little bit about evaluation? You want me to leave it on this slide?
Yeah, this is a good place. Yeah, so as Chris mentioned, we've already put the link for the formative evaluation into the chat. So far, I looked yesterday and we had 23 responses, and I just wanted to shout out or make some clarification that this survey is for everyone, although I have noticed that some people are mentioning, like in a comment, like I haven't been that involved, and then they stop taking it. So even if you haven't been super involved, just keep you're working your way through that survey, because you'll probably get to some questions that might make a little more sense to you as you get a little bit farther in. This slide shows that there are 3 pieces to our evaluation. So the formative evaluation, we're doing a survey this year, and then next year we'll do some more in-depth interviews, and then we'll return to a survey in 2026. For the process evaluation, this is basically just setting up good record keeping for the coalition so that we have a good idea of how many meetings have been held, how many people have been reached at events, those kinds of things. It looks like there's some desire to be tracking our funds leveraged. And when I met with the priority team leaders a few weeks ago, it sounded like we also are leaning towards doing a partner or network analysis. And for that, we're probably going to start with who officially signs that partner commitment form, and then asking the priority teams to keep a roster. And we'll be coming out with like a template that the priority teams can use for those rosters. It's kind of in a draft form right now. And then for our outcomes evaluation, I've been meeting with each priority team to work on their evaluation indicators. Basically, I'm hoping to have this out by June. I'm aware that a few priority teams won't have theirs ready by June, so I'm still kind of figuring out if I'll release a preliminary plan and then later a final, or if we'll just wait till we have it all together. And as I'm putting this evaluation together, I feel like it's just important for all of us to remember that when we measure the outcomes of the coalition, or even just a piece of the coalition, we are measuring what we're contributing to. And so it's about contribution, not attribution. So it's not trying to take credit for some work that others have done, but measuring what we are contributing to. And that's, I feel like it's something when I first got into evaluation, it took a while for me to wrap my mind around. But it's something that I try to implement. I try to be really careful about not taking credit for work others have done, but to understand that we're all contributing toward this. So let's go on to the next slide. So I'm going to give you an update on the Regional Food System Partnership Grant evaluation. So this is a grant that eGreater Des Moines received at the end of 2022. And a lot of the funding is going towards value chain coordinators in Iowa, but it's also, some of that money is going to the Iowa Food System Coalition and to Iowa Farmers Union and Iowa Valley RC&D. So it's funding bits and pieces of the work that a lot of us are a part of. And so as I go through this evaluation, I'm going to show you kind of the evaluation indicators that we're reporting on for the USDA and where we're at through Q1 of 2024. But as I was putting this together, I just kept remembering, like, my goodness, so many of these numbers, the value chain coordinators are the ones who recorded them, but achieving these things has been something that the whole coalition has worked towards. And so I just want to put that out there because I'm not trying to take credit for what the whole coalition has done. So as I put this out there, while this is for the value chain coordinators evaluation, it's not just them who have contributed to these outcomes. So the first outcome that we are reporting on, it's in USDA indicator 1A, is the total number of project beneficiaries to be reached. And this 1A and 1B are similar, but the way I'm looking at it is beneficiaries would be, for example, if somebody's working with a school on farm to school, the beneficiaries would be the number of students who are at that school. So that could be a big number in some cases. The number of stakeholders, which is really what's more like in 1B, would be those who are more directly implementing or more directly partnering. So we have conservatively measured that we have reached 23,418 beneficiaries. And there are 213 stakeholders who are directly involved in like the buying, selling, aggregating, and storing a product, et cetera. And you can see our goals there. So we're on our way. We've surpassed our goal for 1A and are on our way on 1B. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thanks. So our next indicator would be 6A is actually just kind of an expansion on what I just looked at. It's 334 people who have been reached who are includes this diverse non-eligible entities and eligible partners. The reason this number is a little bit higher is because we're also including the reach of Iowa Food Systems Coalition and RFSWG in this number. And then of the total numbers, the engaged, the number who have gained knowledge, that's kind of a repeat. But those who have provided technical assistance and training to partners, we documented 12 instances where somebody from the outside of the team has brought technical assistance or volunteer hours into the project. And we have 4 instances of where additional funding has resulted as from the project. We go to the next slide. So at this point, we have documented over $1 million that have been brought in. Now, grant, I want you to remember, this includes grant dollars that the Iowa Food Systems Coalition has brought in. It includes state funding that the Iowa Farmers Union and other policy partners who are part of the coalition have advocated for. And it also includes some smaller grants that our value chain coordinators have helped their partners to leverage. And then we have documented 62 instances where our value chain coordinators have helped buyers and sellers connect with one another. And I will shout out that the LFPA and the LFS have been a big part of that, to where like our value chain coordinators may help in that connection. And then from there, the food hubs or other partners are kind of taking it to the next step. So that's all I had to report on the RFS. I think we can go on to the next one.
All right, great. Thank you, Arlene. We appreciate that. All right, so we tried a little bit to organize these updates. It's a combination of all of our priority teams. There's 9 priority teams, as well as some other, we call them standard updates that we would have in our previous RFSWG meetings. After last meeting, we realized there were some duplicates and updates and maybe some lulls in there. So we tried to make it flow a little bit better today. So we'll see how it goes. And I can't even remember what order these are in exactly. So priority teams or updates, you all know who you are. If you will just unmute yourself and jump in when your slide shows up, that would be great. Thank you. All right, and some of the slides don't have as much information, and that's okay. But if you guys can still do a shout out and just update the group on where you're at, that would be great. So let's start with land and resource access.
Hello. Well, we're slides blank, but we're here. So the update is that a lot of us are really busy farming, and there's been a lot of good work. Our meetings, Martha and I need to come up with the next time that our group is going to meet together. But I know Martha has submitted a BFRDP related to our outcomes and strategy pieces, especially related to increasing the training that our land access navigators have. So hopefully that'll do more to be syncing up our work across the state and getting access both. So for our global greens navigators that we have now, to get them better training with renewing the countryside, who's been training as the regional hub for land access that PFI is working with. So just trying to expand networks where we all have more synced up training and knowledge of where the resources are that farmers need to get to. And then, so in LSI, we just started a subcontract with Iowa State to be a regional business center, and there will be grants available to farmers through that we can send out coming up soon. I guess that's also similar to the work that we're doing with SILT and Sustainable Iowa Land Trust, that once the federal contract is signed, we have the 5-year land market and capital access grant that we're working with partners around the state. So we'll all have funding for 5 years essentially to be doing land market and capital access work. And there will be money available that we can direct farmers to low barrier grants to be working in all of these on all of those topics. So, and then yeah, so there's a lot going on. I would say the meeting side is really lacking. And we need to schedule our next one, but I know Martha and I have been trying to meet and then to schedule the next meetup of the group, but we haven't been able to.
Thank you for that update, Zach. We appreciate it. All right, so let's go to farm, food, and business development.
Hey, good morning, everybody. This meeting so far has been really fun. So anyway, to get started on the farm and food business priority team, we meet the second Tuesday of every month at 10 a.m. Our next meeting is May 14th. So if you are on the team or are interested in it and you don't have a Zoom link, message me here and I'll make sure to send that out to you. So with Arlene's help, we've been working on a method or methods for our chapter evaluation. Our team needs to assess, so we've decided that our team needs to assess what food and farm businesses are operating in Iowa, which we have, I believe most of the team members have been kind of working on that so far. Our team's definition of local for the sake of evaluation is Iowa right now, but we do acknowledge that local is tricky. And as Gil puts it, Gil Gillespie, he's on our team, puts it, we may need to think in terms of degrees of locality when imagining the future farm and food business development. So yeah, for our sake of evaluation, we're just taking an inventory of the local food and farm businesses that are in our state. One exciting thing that has been going on within the food and farm business development team is the Southeast Iowa Food Web, which is, I think, led mostly by Bob Ferguson, who is on our team as well, down in Fairfield. And I don't have a lot of information on this. I know Arlene was part of this meeting, and so was Gil. So if you want to add more, feel free. But they're using the CARROT tool, which stands for Community Agricultural Resilience Audit Tool. This is a pilot program, from what I understand, to kind of take some data that they've collected with Rivada Consulting, I think is the name of the consulting group, and just kind of take an assessment of what is in Southeast Iowa, what their food web consists of, and they're hoping to use the results to have a good understanding of the current local food and farm businesses in that region. And so that should help with our evaluation metrics. Let's see here. What else are we working on? Another thing we're doing besides just making sure we know what food and farm businesses are in the state so we can get a base measurement, but we're also investigating existing and past farm and food business clusters to find information about logistics successes and failures. So I guess we would welcome any suggestions or information or leads regarding local food and farm business clusters. And I don't think it just has to be in the state of Iowa. I would love to know about food and farm clusters, maybe in the rest of the United States, so we can see what makes those work. And so if you know of a food and farm business cluster, so just like a couple different businesses working together to be successful. I think we got the term cluster. I don't know if it was coined by Ken Meter, but it's in his food web book often. So let's see here. Yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. Our team meets next May 14th. We talked a lot about what's needed and what's going on. So hopefully we'll start making some start doing some of this stuff. Our meetings go really fast. All right, thank you, everybody.
Great, thank you, Jamie. All right, now we're gonna have somebody give us an update from the Food Hub Managers Working Group and the Iowa Hub to Hub Network.
Yes, I have this adorable photo. I don't know if it's going to load in real time, but I realized I forgot to put a photo on the slide. So we'll see if it updates. That's okay. I'll just start. So yeah, the Food Hub Managers Working Group, for those of you who don't know, it's a community of practice with all of the food hubs that manage the aggregation, storage, distribution, and marketing of locally sourced products around the state. There are 8 active food hubs in the state of Iowa right now, and the group's been meeting regularly for the last decade. We've been seeing a lot of really, really great momentum and growth. What Arlene mentioned is the LFPA and the LFS. I'm happy to put the links to those websites in the chat box if people want to check out the websites and see what those programs are about, if those are new to anyone. But the local food purchasing assistance program and the local food for schools has really stretched food hubs and other distribution partners to develop new partnerships and figure out how to source a lot more food and distribute millions of dollars of food out for free to community access sites and to schools without shortchanging the farmer. So that's just grown operations. It's increased hub to hub sales. So hubs are trading more. There's routes running across the state. And then the state of Iowa, the Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship, in addition to the LFP and LFS, also has this RFSI, alphabet soup, which is the Resilient Food System Infrastructure Grant. some of you may have applied for some of the equipment and infrastructure grants. There's another piece to develop the middle of the supply chain from that grant. And so we're working with.
Tom, this is the hers. Let's go lightning round. You ready? You got your electric one?
Oops, it's a lightning round. Almost started talking faster. So the middle of the supply chain piece is to really lean into thinking about how do we help invest in local farmers, help them scale their businesses? How do we scale food hubs? How do we think about developing the operational side and growing the wholesale market across the state? So that's been really great work. Teresa and I have also been joining a national community of practice. So there's food hub networks from across the country. There's Hawaii, there's several on the East Coast, Colorado, the Northwest, all over the country. There's over 10 hub networks. So we've started a community of practice for the communities of practice to talk about and learn like tips from across the country, which has been really valuable and quite meta. And then we have this annual retreat a few weeks ago, and the hub managers are really leaning into thinking really intentionally and strategically around structure, around governance, around decision making, around Tracy Chaplin is brilliant. She works for Conexio Consulting out of Minnesota. She came in and facilitated, and we have lots of new tools and new ideas to continue to grow the work. So I'll stop there.
So did you mention Phil?
Oh my gosh,
Okay.
no. Thank you, Teresa. Very importantly, the Iowa Valley was able to hire a new value chain manager named Phil Yunke Sauer. And he is actually visiting a food hub right now as part of his onboarding. So he couldn't be here, but he's really wonderful and is leaning into that middle of the supply chain work. He's going to be working with Camp Creek Organic out of Kelowna, which is where he is right now, to help with this processing pilot for the schools. He's working to help the hubs improve their network sales to each other and many other things. But we're really excited to have Phil on board. He has amazing experience in both procurement and also formerly managed the Iowa Food Hub when they were doing $1 million in sales. So he really knows his stuff. Teresa, what else did I miss?
You're good.
Okay, thanks.
Great, thank you, Giselle. Thank you, Teresa. Okay, let's go to the farm and food system infrastructure update.
I really should have let Teresa do the food hub slide. So, because now I'm going to talk twice in a row. So this is the farm and food infrastructure update. Krista, are you on the call?
I am. Are you going to make me talk?
I would love, we can do it together.
We totally could. Giselle did just talk, but Giselle and I are working with the farm and food system infrastructure team. And we have been spending a ton of time making sure we are inviting new partners and the right partners representing all different sectors of the food system processing within our team. And in addition to that, I think we have really been spending a lot of time on our priorities that we would really like to evaluate in the overall evaluation plan. We get very excited and we would like to evaluate all the things. So we're really going through and ranking our priorities in terms of what is really most important and what do we have data available that we could utilize to evaluate our priorities. So we're meeting again next week. Would love for anyone else to join us. Giselle, what I missed?
Yeah, I would say if you feel like your work might be part of this puzzle of infrastructure and middle of the supply chain, growing infrastructure, please reach out. We're still recruiting a few more members to our team, particularly looking in local meat processing, dairy, small grain, and grocery. So like especially thumbs up if you have those skill sets. But please reach out to Krista or I if you want to join the conversation, want to weigh in, want to join the team. We still have a few more spots available.
Great, thank you, Giselle and Krista. All right, we're going to go to local food purchasing and procurement.
Yes, so we have officially merged our procurement priority team with the Iowa Farm to School and Early Care Coalition's procurement strategy team, because we're both doing very similar work right now. So the way we'll be structuring our meetings going forward is that this joint team will meet every month on the third Tuesday at 11 a.m. So there, for the months where it coincides with a Farm to School and Early Care Coalition meeting, we'll be focusing more on the farm to school strategies. And then for the quote off months, we'll focus our discussion on those Iowa Food System Coalition strategies outlined in the plan that are not related to farm to school. So that's kind of where our team is at right now. We meet, like I said, on the third Tuesday at 11 a.m. So our next meeting won't be for a couple weeks. And I would say we are still like recruiting for people too, like especially looking at like grocery industry is kind of a niche we've identified as maybe needing some more representation on our team when it comes to purchasing. So yeah, that's all I got.
Great, thank you, Caitlin. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Chelsea with the Iowa Farm to School and Early Care Coalition.
Thanks, Jody. All right. I will add some detail to these updates on the slide, and I'm sharing updates on behalf of Krista Smith today, who's on vacation. So, yeah, from our coalition, our Department of Health and Human Services Farm to ECE Awards is wrapping up its second year. And in total, this is super exciting. We've awarded over $700,000 to Iowa's early care and education providers, both centers and in-home providers. And folks have received these awards to grow their gardening and local food procurement and family engagement initiatives. Just really, really cool work happening at a super local level. And we will have some stories and a big report to share as we wrap that up later this summer. Krista is hosting some regional learning collaboratives for early care and education providers. So this is a really cool program where 25 early care and education providers across the state are meeting monthly, both in a smaller regional group and then in a larger statewide group. And they're sharing insights and ideas about their farm to ECE work. They all have been awarded funding for these projects around gardening, family engagement, and local food procurement. So they're talking about those. They're also doing some training around policy at their site level and state level initiatives. And they are recently this month engaging in some discussion and learning around racial and social equity action and planning for their site level and some, state level and national initiatives as well. So these folks will be presenting actually at our conference this summer. They're all developing posters to share more about their work. So when you're at the conference, you'll get to meet them. For our Farm to Summer campaign, we're super excited. We have awarded $26,000 in funding to 29 school districts, I believe. And this funding is specifically earmarked for these schools to purchase local food to serve at their summer meal programs. The theme of this year is Snap for Snap Peas. Super fun promotional material that these sites are getting. And the purpose of this campaign is to supply schools with some funding and some promotional material to add some local food education and local food tasting during the summer. It's a great opportunity to start purchasing local while things are, coming into season and build some relationships that can last into the school year. So really grateful to Tammy at IDOLS for making some additional funding happen for that campaign this year. Our Golden Root Award winners have been announced. The Golden Root Award is an annual farm to school and early care celebration. And what we do is collect applications. Applicants answer a series of questions and share some data about their work and new initiatives in farm to school and early care throughout the year. The Department of Ed, the Department of Ag and Land Stewardship, Department of Health and Human Services, and several other of our coalition members review these applications. And this year we had 14 sites apply, and as they apply, they receive either a bronze, silver, or gold award. They'll receive certificates for those. And then we also have 2 outstanding award winners this year. These folks are the school of the year is Riceville Community School District, and our outstanding in-home early care and education provider of the year is Justina Yoder. And these winners will be attending our conference this summer. We'll have a in-person award ceremony where you get to meet them and learn more about their work, and they're really, really cool initiatives that are happening. So congratulations to them. Kids Garden Day. Our pilot of this Iowa Kids Garden Day program is coming up next week on May 15th. So across the state, we have about 30 sites who will be getting kids outside or inside if they are working on other aspects of indoor growing, and leading garden activities and promoting their efforts to grow some food with kids. So we have garden signage that's been sent to all these pilot sites. This is a pilot year, so we're just practicing some different organizing methods, but the opportunity will be open statewide next year. And this will look similar to other local food celebrations that we have, Iowa Local Food Day and the Great Apple Crunch. So excited to add some garden initiatives to that lineup. And lastly, our community food system and Iowa Farm to School and Early Care Conference is this summer. If you haven't registered yet, what are you doing? Get registered, get there. It's going to be so fun. June 13th and 14th in Iowa City is our conference this year. Lots of pieces of the conference have been mentioned. A play by Mary Swander will kick us off on the Thursday of the conference. We'll be in Iowa City at the Johnson County Historic Poor Farm. We will be field tripping to Camp Creek Organic Produce. We'll be having a community dinner with music and local food and local catering. Friday, we will have a ton of amazing sessions and keynote speakers at the Graduate, downtown Iowa City. Our room block closes at the Graduate on May 13th, so register and book your lodging before then. Let us know if you have any questions. Thank you, Chris, for putting that in the chat. Looking at these, where can we get the locations that the Kids Garden Day will be? I can share those out. We have locations across the state at different schools and early care and education sites. All right, that's all from me. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Chelsea. All right, we're gonna go with food, nutrition, and health update.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I'm Jill Lang. I'm with the Iowa Department of Health and Human Services. I am one of the co-leads for this priority group. And well, I guess now I should say I'm a triple lead. I don't know what the right wording is. There's 3 of us trying to keep things moving ahead. And so very happy to have Laura Paulson here with us today. Some of you have met her, others may not have. And I'm actually going to turn it over to her today to do our update.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name's Laura Paulson and I am with the Health and Human Services team as a SNAP-Ed nutrition consultant. As part of my role, I get to work with our Healthy Eating Active Living partnership team, or known as HEAL partnership. And so this group of organizations come together quarterly to discuss how we can address the needs of our food, nutrition, and health chapter of the Iowa Food Plan. So we met last week on April 30th, and we got to explore the 5 goals that are outlined in our plan and really learning from each other on what our organizations are already doing related to these 5 areas, but also talking about our partners in the work across the state or other organizations we want to bring to the table, but also identifying some of the gaps too that we want to take note of as we work on formulating these work groups within these 5 goals. And so our next steps are having our team members identify which work group they want to be a part of and identifying those co-leads that will help lead the work group moving forward. So we have a couple more meetings yet this year on July 30th and October 30th. Many of you on this call do attend those meetings, but the work groups will also be identifying some meeting times to start digging into the work and identifying the strategies to work towards these goals. And we are working with Arlene on the evaluation framework and just making sure that we are aligning our evaluation priorities so these working groups can kind of prioritize the work that they want to do and what we can achieve in the first year. So I did just send out a follow-up email. So for those that are on the group, some of these details are outlined there as well. But I did want to just highlight one of our next steps this summer is hosting a few different focus groups and really trying to have some conversation with those with a lived experience in food insecurity and gleaning some information that we can incorporate into the work of these working groups moving forward. So we can be prioritizing the health and well-being of all Iowans and really trying to incorporate the role of food in public health with all these different organizations involved in our HEAL partnership. So that is our update.
Great, thank you, Laura. All right, we'll go to labor equity update.
Hi, everyone. My name is Megan Kemp. I am leading the labor equity priority team, and we have a few folks. I think last I checked the attendee list, there were a few other folks on the team that are on the call, so thank you for being here and being a part of that team. To recap, our last month's meeting was more of like a connections call, getting to know everyone, some ideas for collaboration, starting to talk about evaluation with Arlene like everyone else, and looking to the future, digging into that evaluation and data work with Arlene. We had some ideas pop up about working on maybe like an awareness campaign for food systems workers with maybe the communications team or the policy team. So potentially some cross-pollination of priority teams is exciting. And then our next meeting is actually tomorrow. If you're interested in attending, send me a message or email me. We meet on whatever number, second Fridays of the month at 10 a.m. We're always looking for more team partners, but especially for job training programs, like compensated job training programs, apprenticeships, that kind of thing, food system coordination and policy reform. So if you're interested in that, let me know, or Chris know, somehow get a hold of me, and I can add you to the invite. And I think that's the labor equity update. Sweet.
Great, thank you, Megan. All right, environmental stewardship update.
Jody, did you see Adam put a note in the chat, and I'll just go over it. He and I are still fine-tuning the chapter, but he wanted to shout out the Harkin Institute's organizing a conference on agriculture, the environment, and public health for September 25 and 26. And they're just really starting to make some great connections with the Iowa Environmental Council, co-organizing the event with the John Hopkins Center for Livable Future. So looks like this is going to be an excellent opportunity to sort of expand on the ideas that are starting to come out of that chapter. Looks like they're going to be focusing on climate change, water quality, and environmental justice. And his email is in the chat for more information. And I know we'll have more information coming out through the coalition newsletter on this as well.
Great, yes, thank you, Jan. And no, I cannot see the chat, so if there's anything else happening in there that I need to know, if one of the steering committee members can please shout that out, that'd be great. All right, Paul, I'll let you do the communication and education update.
Sure. I added a couple things that are not showing up on your screen right now, but I'll read off of mine. So yeah, we are, as some other folks have mentioned, we're also in grant season, and definitely enjoying that experience. But we've got an FMPP application that is underway. We are looking at a lot of the priorities of that we set out in our chapter, especially around pushing for a statewide directory for local foods. That, you know, there's currently a lot of local directories around the state, but getting some more integration of those resources. And then yeah, aside from normal priority team stuff, we are also doing a lot of the communication work for the coalition itself. So we've got 2 different home bases of print resources available. So Chris has a stack of some freshly printed materials in Waterloo, and I've got some right in Des Moines that if you are tabling or would like someone from the coalition to table at an event, feel free to reach out to our priority team or to Chris. And they do okay, Megan, they actually smelled really good. You might have been joking about that, but like you open the box and it's something, that freshly warm cut paper. Anyway, where was I? Anyway, yes, so we've got postcards available and print resources. What else? Messaging development continues. So Alexon and several of the other contracted communication folks are continuing to fine tune that. We had a lot of really good feedback in some of the larger group sessions with folks. So we really appreciate that input. And we are getting set up for metrics for evaluation as well. So we have been looking at things that we are already collecting or that are available to us and members of our priority team. So Google Analytics is going to be a big resource for the amount of attention that we're drawing to the coalition and to its members. And yeah, if you're interested in getting involved in any of our work, we are meeting on 4th Mondays of every month from 10:30 to about 11:30. It tends to run until 11:45 or noon sometimes, but roughly that time. This month we're going to meet a week earlier because of the holiday, but normally 4th Mondays of each month.
Great, thank you, Paul. I'm just going to expand a little bit. I co-chair this communications committee with Paul and am part of conversations of the FMPP grant and have reached out to many of partners on this website or on this call, excuse me, as well as bringing Iowa Food System Coalition Steering Committee members along since we haven't had a chance to meet recently. But yes, this foundation's for a statewide directory, not creating anything new that's already out there. It's going to be a communication hub, expanded website, a space to bring all of the regional directories that are happening, as well as a space for the statewide directories that are already happening, trying to make a one-stop shop communication hub for both farmers signing up for these directories, as well as consumers looking for where they can purchase local foods. So bringing things together and again, we keep referring to it as that communication hub because hope to expand much beyond just the directory piece too. All right, I'm going to turn it over to the policy team.
We never figured out who was going to share, so I was trying to stall, but Ilsa, Tommy, either of you want to take this, otherwise I will. Please chime in. So a bit of a policy update on the legislative side. As Beth kind of alluded to this morning, there is a new program. It's called the Choose Iowa Food Purchasing Pilot Project, I think, technically. There's a lot of questions still, but it is $300,000 to support purchases of locally grown products that participate in Choose Iowa for schools, food banks, and emergency feeding organizations. So it is a great first step. And like I said, there's a lot of questions still. We're kind of putting together sort of like a question and answer document. I know we have different coalition members meeting with members of IDOLs. So hope that we can continue doing some advocacy now on the administrative side, now that this has been passed, to make sure that it's being implemented in the most impactful way. So if you are really interested in that, have questions yourself, like please feel free to reach out to myself or Tommy or Ilsa. I'd be happy to share that document with you. We're just kind of collaborating on questions and things like that. But yeah, more to come once we have more details. And I think once IDOLS has more that they can share on that. The policy team did get a grant award to support our work from the From Now On Fund. And that was $50,000 for the first year and that same amount for the second year with the potential to increase it. So we're really excited about getting this unrestricted grant funding to support advocacy work. We're planning out kind of some meetings with different priority teams so we can be really intentional over this summer and fall in building our policy agenda and developing policies. We hope to do more with a local food policy summit, advocacy trainings, Day on the Hill as well. So lots more to come there. And looking ahead, like I said, we'll be planning that local food policy summit and prepping for training all of us and others to become effective advocates at the state legislative session next year. So, Tommy, Ilsa, anything I missed? Oh, one final thing. Third Fridays of the month at 10:30. So we're meeting next Friday. Feel free to shoot myself, Tommy, or Ilsa an email. I think Tommy has the calendar invite, so bug him. I'm just joking. You can email me too. I'll put it in the chat. But if you'd like to be part of those meetings, just let us know.
All right, great. Thank you, Luke. All right. Any specific updates from the Iowa Farmers Union? I'm not sure if Tommy or Aaron are on. I can't see everybody.
Yeah, we're here.
Okay.
And Aaron's message in the chat was meant for just for me. He said, take the lead, of course. So I'm taking the lead on the IFU update. Could see neither of the teams I'm on had coordinated the presentation today. But anyway, the two major updates for IFU, in addition to local food policy network stuff, I just wanted to share, last month, Iowa Farmers Union had the opportunity to host the Federal Trade Commission chair, along with several legislators from the state of Iowa, about the Iowa Fertilizer Company. And so this is not directly related to local food systems, but it was a chance to get our voice out there with the chair of the FTC, Lena Khan, and she came to Iowa, was receptive to our members. So that was a really neat federal opportunity to speak on behalf of small family farmers. So there's stories online about that. Maybe I'll drop a link in the chat if anyone wants to read more about what that was like. And then the other thing I wanted to flag was Jan just put this in the chat, but there are several members of both IFSC and Iowa Farmers Union who are running for office this year. And they are, largely running on rural development around small farms, and trying to maintain true economic development that helps people more than sometimes our model of economic development, I think, is more focused on corporations. So investing in local small farms very much fits in with IFSC and Farmers Union. Those people are myself. I'm running for House District 53. Kamyar Encheon is running for Board of Supervisors, and then Tony Thompson is running for House District in Northern Polk County, somewhere in there. So check them out. And then Karen Varley is running for office in Southwest Iowa. So just keep an eye out for people associated here, see how you can stay involved with campaigns. And yeah, like Luke just said, we're starting to build some of our food systems voting block for the legislature. So, and Chris running for re-election this year, Blackhawk County Supervisor. Really exciting time. And we're starting to see the fruits of the people movement we are building here in Iowa.
Tommy, I might add too, for folks who are, we should be paying close attention in Washington also. It seems like Farm Bill discussions are heating up. It's a little unclear if there's going to be a path for a passage of a Farm Bill this year, but there is a possibility And unfortunately, one of those largest areas of contention deals with the important nutrition programs that are part of the Farm Bill. So we're trying very, very hard to work with our Iowa members of the Ag Committee to emphasize that nutrition programs are an important part of the Farm Bill and shouldn't be compromised as we try to find extra dollars for all the vast number of Farm Bill programs. So just you should be learning more about those things happening in the coming weeks. So check for action alerts and updates coming about the Farm Bill discussion happening here in the second half of May and June. So thank you, Tommy.
Great. Thank you, Tommy and Aaron. All right. Luke, Iowa Hunger Coalition.
Could not have asked for a better transition. Thank you, Aaron. Perfect segue into what I want to talk about. Because I do want to chat about the Farm Bill. But first, real quick, I guess taking off my IFSC hat, putting on my IHC hat. We did have some successes this legislative session. Like I mentioned, the Choose Iowa Food Purchasing Pilot Project. We did stop House File 2608, which included some harmful anti-immigrant pieces related to public assistance and SNAP. But I think largely Iowa's legislature did not take meaningful action on food insecurity. We have food banks, food pantries across the state breaking records right now. And so while we appreciate that new $300,000, there were a lot of priorities that we did not see any action on. Summer EBT, Healthy School Meals for All, Double Up Food Bucks, the Grocery Reinvestment Fund and Program. And that means we got a lot of work to do this summer and fall in meeting with legislators, bringing these issues to the forefront, and connecting with constituents and voters as well to make sure that, you know, when people are out there campaigning for office, hunger and food insecurity is something that they're getting questions about and having to answer to. So looking forward, few things we're keeping an eye on. There's the summer meal program expansion grants. Those closed on Wednesday. So we'll be curious to see when those awards are announced and what the impact of that will be for expanding summer meals. And then as Aaron mentioned, Farm Bill negotiations are really ramping up. Last week, the House put forth kind of a title by title, very short overview. They're expected to have more details out this Friday for the House version. The Senate version had a greater level of detail that came out last week. And as Aaron said, I think a real sticking point is going to be SNAP benefits. I won't get too much into the weeds. I'm saving that for next Wednesday when we talk about what is the Thrifty Food Plan? What does freezing future updates mean? How is that a cut to SNAP? So if you would like to learn more about what the Farm Bill proposals so far have said and the things we're concerned about in the House bill, I would encourage you to register. I'm dropping the registration link in the chat. IHC has our monthly meetup every third Wednesday of the month at 10 a.m. So next Wednesday, like I said, we'll really dig into that Thrifty Food Plan proposal. And Aaron and Tommy, I'm probably going to connect with you to see just how we can, you know, be better coordinating some Farm Bill advocacy as well. So also keep an eye out for the annual meeting coming up this summer and strategizing for next session. But that's it for me. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Luke. All right. I know Courtney can't be here today. I'm not sure if Colin is on. So I'm not sure if we have an update on the Local Food and Farm Initiative Council.
Hey, I don't know if this is on everybody's radar, but I had emailed Colin on that question because this was one among many councils that were sort of on the chopping block this legislative session. And his report to me is that it did not get eliminated. So I'm not sure how public that information is. And I have followed up with him to say, okay, so what's next? I have not heard a response, but I was really glad to know it because it's called out in the plan. And it's like, can I leave it in the plan or not? And I did. And I sort of maybe elaborated a little bit more. It's like, yes. So that was exciting.
Thank you, Jan, for that update. All right, so now we're going to move into food system events, announcements, and project updates. Ilsa, can you remind me, am I keeping going on or are you taking over this section?
I can jump in if needed. Yeah, so this is a new section. Just trying to highlight, you know, a lot of times in past meetings, we've tried to encourage people to put their events in the chat and also there's sometimes bigger statewide events that a lot of people will be participating in or could potentially participate in, either as an attendee or a planner for the conference or things like that. And so we've just created this new section and are trying it out as the space to talk about these events. And we have some slides, some things prepared, but this is also a time once we get through those, if you have anything you'd like to announce to the group, you can definitely make that announcement. Yeah, so is somebody here to talk about the Iowa Hunger Summit?
I know that Chris talked about it earlier, right? Did you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I'll just step in the I'm dropping the link here. Just right, we found out this week that we were selected to present a breakout session, and that the session will be giving a brief overview of the plan, setting the tables for all Iowans, and then with a special emphasis on some real world on the ground examples from our nutrition focus. And so we will have a tabling presence at that as well. And so if you're interested in being a part of that or volunteering at that, we will certainly take your help. And there will be some type of social event afterwards. I'll be working with Luke on. And so we really hope that if you can participate, and I think it's a good venue for us to be at. I always say that if you're not at the table, then you're on the menu, and so I think it's a good place for us to be.
Yeah, so this is definitely something we've been, Iowa Food System Coalition has been making efforts to partner with Iowa Hunger Summit, and there's been great interest in incorporating more of the local food system work into their event. All right, next up, the Community Food Systems and Farm to School and Early Care Conference. I know Chelsea mentioned it earlier when talking about Farm to School.
I can take this one since I know that we're the next slide anyway. So you've been hearing about it all call. Here's a little bit more information. I shared the agenda on the slide so you can see exactly where you need to be when. So June 13th and 14th in Iowa City, the last day to register is the end of this month, so May 31st. I'm not sure if anyone or if Jan or Chris would like to talk about Iowa Food System Coalition involvement, but they've been a big part of a lot of our site visit day. A lot of folks on this call are helping with or hosting and presenting on Friday. It's really exciting. I don't know what else to say about it. I'm just really excited. Chels, did I? Yes, great. Jan and Chris, are we good on this one? Yep.
Yeah, I think Chris did a good job covering it, but some really great substantive sessions that build off of the work that's been going on and tied to the plan. So very excited to have this coming up.
Yes, so that's basically just a little bit more information on the conference. I'm going to share a little bit about what we've been up to at Farm Food and Enterprise Development. It's grant season, like we've also been talking about. So we've been busy writing and working and planning and stuff all across all the teams in our office. Some of the things that I've been working on are the Farmers Market Retail Pricing Pilot Program. We're starting our second season of data collection with our 5 partner markets. So Decorah, Olwine, Grinnell, Davenport, and downtown Des Moines markets are collecting weekly information. And if you want any more information on these projects, feel free to email me. Also getting in a little bit more into workforce development and food and agriculture spaces, kind of connected to labor equity and the coalition. Also, there are some more national extension-based efforts in that space. We confirmed that September 25th will be the Iowa State University Local Food Festival, so save the date. There will be more information coming out soon. Courtney asked me to share that the fruit and vegetable processing survey was closed and now they're working more on, her words were modeling and economic impact. So questions, you can email Courtney. And then I also wanted to share that there will be a summer cohort a summer cohort for a virtual local food leader. This is open nationally. It'll happen from June 5th through August 14th. And registration closes on the May 29th. A really exciting development for our certifications is that we're now offering the intercultural development inventory as an add-on, which helps with kind of understanding where you're at with like intercultural competence and working across cultures. And if you have questions on certifications, you can email Kaylee. Any other FED folks have updates? No. Complete? We're like on time. Sweet. Thank you, everyone.
Great. Anyone else have any announcements that they'd like to give a shout out to, things coming up? Give a couple minutes.
Hey, Elsa, I'm just going to give out another shout out again, September 25 and 26. So there's a lot going on that week with local food. We've got the ISU Food Festival, but then Adam's pulling this Ag, Environment, and Public Health Conference together and Harkin. So keep your ears and eyes open for more information on that.
Great. I know everyone's a little nose to the grindstone right now. Maybe that's more of the energy we have collectively than, but a lot of stuff to come. Exciting on the other side.
Chuck Eisenhower here, if I can make a point. Following up on Luke's presentation, summer EBT for 2025, the federal government needs to know by August 15th if Iowa's going to be participating. So I encourage every group on this call to publicly and formally call on the Department of Education, Health and Human Services, and the governor to submit an application to do that.
Thanks, Chuck. Great. Anyone else have anything they'd like to announce or share out about events? If not, we can flip to the next slide and have this. Still feel free to come off mute and give an announcement. But in the meantime, we also have this feedback word cloud. And we definitely need and want any and all feedback that you have for our collective meeting space here. How do we make these meetings informative for people across the state, whether you're very involved in the work or just getting started to the work of food systems? How do we continue to coordinate and collaborate on all of the work that's happening with the Iowa Food System Coalition Plan and continue mobilizing and organizing programs and policy efforts. So this meeting is just one of our quarterly meetings are just one piece of that, but an important piece for sure.
And I've also dropped the link for the word cloud in the chat here.
Great, thanks, Chris. And with that, Chris, I didn't know if you had any closing words for our meeting today.
Yes. And so it's been, again, I come out of every meeting, which has been many meetings with coalition members, just feeling inspired by the work that all of you are doing. and the talent and energy that you bring to this food justice movement. And so I'm really looking forward to connecting with folks at all these great summer events, whether it's the Food Systems of Farm to School and Early Care Conference, or if it's the Hunger Summit. I did mention that I hope to host kind of a social event later this summer for all the coalition, to bring you here to Waterloo. And interestingly, I live, my late husband and I bought this historic home that's locally known as the Rath Mansion. So it has a place in the history of food systems, having formerly been the home of the CEO of what is at that time the largest meat processor in the world. And so we used to joke that it took 100 years, but the house is in the hands of queer union organizers now, and is now a place that we use for community organizing and stuff. And so really hope to host you all here later this summer, just to have some fun and just to celebrate everything that's been done so far, and to celebrate the releasing of the plan. We've got a lot to be proud of, and I really look forward to carrying this work forward.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, please.
As a steering committee member, I just want to say so thrilled to have you on board, Chris, and really, really love already working with you, and I'm so looking forward to it. And I just want us all to take a moment to thank Jan and celebrate her. We would not be here without you, Jan. And I get a little verklempt. We're gonna miss you, but I hope that you feel proud and trusting that we're going to continue on the good work that you have brought forth, and the connections and the relationships that are here and are strong and are going to keep going and growing. And you have to come to the potlucks. I will say that. You get a break, you deserve a rest, but you have to come to the parties still.
Thank you so kindly. Yeah, I probably am going to be less and less visible, and I probably am going to step back for a while. There are things that haven't gotten tended around here, but this has been an amazing opportunity to really deepen these relationships, and the work that you all are doing is it is impactful. And yes, there will be time to reconnect, and there will be an opportunity to figure out where I fit in down the road. So blessings to all of you. You are changing Iowa.
And thank you again, Jan, for all of your guidance and patience this last month and a half almost. You're truly an inspiring woman, and I admire you.
We're not done.
Yes, yeah, that's right. All right, I can share my screen now so we can see the results of the word cloud here. So it looks like people are feeling inspired and motivated. We're growing, we're hopeful, we're connected. We recognize we've got more work to do, but we're feeling uplifted and impressed and persistent and actionable, and we're ready to move forward. So this is really exciting. So I think it's a really great note to end this meeting on, and it's been really great to be here with all of you this morning, and hats off to everybody that's getting us across the finish line on these federal grants. So that, if this is anything else, thank you all so much for being here today.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. And thank you for taking time to share, everyone. And welcome, Chris. And thank you, Jan.